Welcome back. Our next speaker is someone who's become a strong voice in the health and performance space by helping people truly understand how their bodies work and how to optimize it. She breaks down complex topics around energy, recovery, and longevity into simple, practical strategies you can actually use. She's the co-founder of The Ultimate Human alongside her husband Gary Brecka, and together they've built one of the top platforms in health and wellness, including the Ultimate Human podcast. Please help me welcome to the stage, Sage Brecka.
Hi, how are you?
How's it going, Sage?
So great. So good to see you.
We gotta hype you up. We gotta hype you up. We got the queen of biohacking here. We gotta make it
I
sound
love
good.
it. I love it. That's fantastic.
So I'm so glad you're joining us today. I've seen a lot of your content online. Obviously, you and Gary are just some of the biggest names in the health and wellness space right now. I'm so happy to see you guys grow and like how much what you guys have become and how many people you get to help. So today I want to kind of go over um, tips and tricks that people can do in the grocery store to kind of
Okay.
because a lot of people I feel like don't know what food's good and what's not. And honestly, like we've been told things have been healthy for the longest time, and now we're told it's flipped upside down. So
Yep.
there's a lot of confusion of like that. So I figured I'd bring you out here and just kind of set the record straight. So
Absolutely.
people think they're eating healthy, but a lot of time what's labeled healthy is actually loaded with things that are working against them. So what are you seeing, most right now?
I think that's the tricky part is that it's sad that, like the Maha movement, we became a big force in the Maha movement and, with making America healthy. And it's wild that there's this whole push towards protein and, good healthy fats because we got away from that back when we were kids. It was like low fat milk, skim milk, and everything, trying to do everything low fat. Don't eat butter, eat this margarine that's low calorie. So we've been trained very differently. Our food pyramid when we grew up was very different. And thank God it got flipped upside down so that now Lucky Charms is not considered more healthy than a grass-fed steak. that was my
Yeah.
favorite part. That's when you knew that the food pyramid was bought and paid for. So I love that we're getting back to health and explaining it better to kids because we're going to have a whole generation of knowledgeable kids. But for the people that got it wrong because we were taught incorrectly, there's a lot of great tips and tricks with going to the grocery store. One of my biggest tips is to stick to the outside of the grocery store. And the reason is because if you think about all the outside of the grocery store, it's real whole food. Everything in the middle, if you think about it, besides the frozen section, everything in the middle is in a box. It's all processed. It's all put into a plastic bag, into a box. And that's not necessarily great for us, but I understand too, families need to, have things that are fast and made fast. So I feel like I just rambled and I may not have answered your question
No,
exactly.
it's totally fine. So let me ask you, what are some everyday foods that you would absolutely never personally put in your body?
Mm, fast and processed. In fact, it's funny when we travel a lot, it's tricky to travel and try to eat healthy, especially when you're on the go, like Gary and I are. But I went on a vacation. I tried to go on a ski vacation just last week. There wasn't a whole lot of snow, so it was the worst ski vacation I've ever taken. But we went to all these really healthy restaurants, so-called, good restaurants. I ordered healthy food, and I still left feeling bloated and sick and didn't sleep well and just felt terrible for 4 or 5 days in a row.
Mm.
As soon as I got back home and started cooking at home again, my gut went back to normal. I felt better. I slept better. So one of the things I just really try to stay away from at all times is for sure fast food, as much processed food as I can. And when I go to restaurants, if I try to remember to say when they ask you, do you have any allergies? I actually say that I am allergic to seed oils. So it
Okay.
stops them from using vegetable oil or canola oil or sunflower or, whatever all these crappy oils, these cheap oils are. Ask them to cook whatever you're ordering. If it's a steak, fish, chicken, whatever, ask them to cook it in butter. Or worst case, just olive oil, even though olive oil at high temperatures isn't great for you, but it's better than a seed oil.
And what are like Because you see so much stuff online, like, oh, this is good, this is bad for you, this is bad, and like the world is ending. What do you feel are like the most concerning ingredients that people should be looking out for?
The seed oils for sure. Seed oils are just seem to be in everything. And and again, that goes back in the old day that they tried to teach us that butter was bad for us, it was bad for our hearts, and that seed oils were heart healthy. That's complete BS. So I stay away from seed oil. It completely bloats me out, not to give so much information, but it stops my gut and it makes me feel terrible. So again, go back to the butter, go back to the basics. And folic acid. That is like, if I could get the government to understand one thing, it would be to get folic acid out of our food supply. So folic acid is, at the end of the day, it's synthetic man-made vitamin B9. That's all it is. Vitamin B9 is supposed to prevent neural tube defects in pregnant women. So back in the 90s, it was early 90s, they were like, well, if people aren't getting their vitamins, we could make the vitamins and we could spray it onto the food source. So they started to spray in the early 90s. I think it was like 92, 93. They started to spray folic acid on our grain source. So think all carbs, your cereals, bread, pasta, rice, crackers, cookies, pancakes, waffles, all the good stuff, all of our flours has not all, but the majority has been sprayed with folic acid, and then they call it enriched or fortified. So think if something is fortified, like think of cereal fortified with vitamins and minerals. Okay, they've added the cheap stuff. They had the right intentions, I believe. I hate to believe that, our government would not do what's best for us, but
They always do what's best for us.
I don't want to have like a hit out on me later. But what started to happen is, what they didn't realize is that there's certain people with genetic breaks like me. I have this gene break called MTHFR, and I call that well, I shouldn't cuss, but it's the MFR gene.
We can figure it out.
Okay, motherfucker gene. And I cannot process cheap synthetic vitamins like folic acid. So what I can process is the methylated version of that. So I can't convert folic acid into 5-methylfolate, which is the natural form. So I need to take the natural form 5-methylfolate. So, but it's too expensive, or maybe it's not even possible to spray the real form on our grain source. So it would be better if you just don't eat. Look, I always tell people, look in your pantry. If it says enriched white rice, enriched wheat flour, if it says fortified with vitamins and minerals, just throw it away and then go buy something organic or imported. Because if it's truly imported from Italy, then Italy doesn't spray with folic acid. So unfortunately, the UK is now doing it, which sucks. And because they were avoiding a lot of the nasty stuff for a while. And California just started spraying corn with it. So now, like your corn tortillas. So I used to at least go to a restaurant and I could get corn tortillas over flour tortillas, because I knew flour tortillas would have folic acid, but corn didn't. Well, not California. So,
Looking for enriched, is that the big thing?
That's the big thing. Enriched and fortified is terrible for you if you have these certain genetic mutations, but more than half the population does. So then if you eat something, let's say you eat the bread basket at the restaurant and you bloat or you feel sick, or let's say you give it to your kid and they throw a massive temper tantrum afterwards. Pizza is a big one too. Then think about if you go to a restaurant, okay, so there's 2 restaurants in Naples, Florida, where I grew up. And one I can bring the kids to, my daughter included, who's a teenager, and everybody can eat there and they feel fine at the end of the day. Everybody sleeps fine, no meltdowns, no temper tantrums, no sass or attitude, and everybody's happy and goes to bed fine. If we that's because they import all their flour from Italy directly. So all their pizza, pasta, everything is made, and their breads are all made with imported grains from Italy. However, if we go to this other restaurant in town, it's really good. The food is amazing, but it's all enriched and fortified. So if I eat a pizza and a bread basket from this restaurant, we all feel awful. And then I am telling you, I've never seen such temper tantrums and meltdowns from my children and my daughter and my nieces, like if I take them to this restaurant. So once we locked in on that and started to realize like what we're eating is affecting mood, behavior, up here, then it was just a game changer. So now we just don't go to that restaurant anymore. And we always just go to the one that's got good ingredients.
Gotcha, that makes sense. So now,
Yeah.
if someone's shopping in a grocery store, besides the enriched or fortified, like what is something like they pick up and you see on the box that they're like, it's an instant no.
Yeah.
Like what are some other things they can look for? Because I feel like the enriched and fortified, it sounds good.
Right.
Like I didn't know that's
Oh
even
yeah,
something to get.
that's yeah. And what they're trying to do now is that okay, so for red food dye 40, for instance, now they're calling it like strawberry flavored, or they're like making up different names. It's like electric
Mm.
blue instead of the normal blue that they used to call it. So they're trying to trick us into thinking they've made changes to things, but they really haven't. Now, red food dye 40 has been eliminated. They're working on getting the other ones eliminated as well. But this is where food companies are trying to get creative and make it not sound so bad.
Mm.
If you go over to European countries, all of that stuff is banned, and they actually use beet juice to dye it red, or blueberry juice, or they're using like actual fruit and vegetables to dye the food, so it doesn't turn out as colorful. Like Fruit Loops are very different over in Europe than they are here. Our Fruit Loops are like crazy bright colors because it's fake, but over in Europe it's not. They're not as bright. But they're still colorful. So I always tell kids, if you flip over the back of the box and you can't pronounce something, if it's got so many ingredients and they're ingredients that you cannot pronounce or spell, that's one red flag. If it has a color in it that has also a number, that is also a red flag. So look for colors, numbers, and words you can't pronounce. Also, the list of ingredients. You want to choose things that has as few ingredients as possible. So, like 3 to 6 ingredients should be fine. If it's a list this long, then red flag. Just turn it back and put it back on the shelf.
That makes sense. So let's make this actionable, right? So if I'm in the grocery store, give me some simple swaps that I can make, right? So instead of this, let me get this, and I'm sure it's a subtle swap, but it can make a big
Yeah.
difference.
Huge difference. So the biggest one that I say, okay, so my daughter's now almost 18, which totally freaks me out. So when she was little, I didn't understand MTHFR. I didn't understand folic acid. I just thought that when she was 2, 3, 4 years old, she was just throwing these epic meltdowns because that was her age. She was having temper tantrums because she's 2, she's 3. What it really was is that I was giving her Cheerios and Goldfish, which were sprayed with folic acid, and they were the enriched and fortified products. And she would eat those. I'd take her to the zoo. We'd have a great day at the zoo. And then I'd take her home for a nap, and she would just have a complete meltdown. And so what I realized is if there had been an organic version of that, like right now, I always tell parents go like Annie's Organic Bunnies. If we had had an option like that, organic cereals, then the meltdowns probably would not have happened in such severe
So is it
fashion.
better to go to organic for everything? Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. But Whole Foods has gotten tricky now too. They make like organic crackers. I love those like butter, round crackers are some of my favorites. But they have an organic version, but it'll still say enriched organic wheat flour. So can't have those either. So you really got to pay attention to it. There's pretzels out there. I noticed that I was like, oh, yay, they've got, good, healthy pretzels. Nope, it still said organic enriched wheat flour. So check on the enriched. There are plenty of options out there. It's fewer than the other ones for sure. But as long as you get in your head that you do not want something with enriched or fortified, then that's a good swap. Just make that swap.
Gotcha. So what are a few categories people are getting hit with the hardest without realizing it? Is it like snacks, drinks, sauces? Like where do you find these the most that they're not even realizing?
The sauces and salad dressings and all of that, that's where your seed oils are. So I recommend trying to just make your own salad dressing at home. Try to make your own sauce at home. Nowadays, like I get it where people are like, I don't know how to cook because they weren't brought up cooking. There are so many Instagram, TikTok, YouTube videos of how to take very simple, ingredients and make something fabulous. It's not like reading an old school cookbook like we had to do back in the day, where you couldn't visually see what somebody was doing. You can literally, somebody will walk you through how to cook. So I make a salad dressing. I use balsamic, a really good organic olive oil, a little bit of mustard. You can use whatever kind of mustard you want, a little bit of honey, some Italian spices, whip that all together, and you have a great salad dressing. Very simple. So dressings you want to look out for, sauces you want to look out for the seed oils. With what else was I thinking of? Hang on. We know the folic acid piece because I talk about
Your
that all the
snacks, your
time.
sauces. What about drinks?
Drinks. Thank you. Okay.
Are diet
So
drinks okay, or is it better to get like a Coke Zero or a Diet Coke, or is there certain things in there that you want to avoid?
I didn't grow up on soda, so it's like not something that I crave or think about or buy. I think that so Olipop is a different brand that it's supposed to be better for your gut. It's supposed to have lower sugar, I think. I don't know a ton about the ingredients on it. I just know that
Do you like the prebiotic sodas?
they I don't drink them, but I
I
think it's
tried it one time.
better.
I probably won't do it again. It definitely
Really?
messed with my gut biome.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
so
sometimes things that are healthier for you are trying to correct your gut biome. So, but I'm not pushing that at all. I think honestly, if you can give up all soda, it's a better way to go.
I think so.
Um, but another ingredient that I would for sure look into is, so people love, if they don't drink coffee and they're tired, they drink energy drinks.
Mm.
And there's most energy drinks. And then think about like any kind of energy powder, I remember I used to drink those emergency packets all the time because I thought, oh, it's extra vitamin C and it's got energy in it. And it's got added B12, and it's going to make me feel better. They use a product called cyanocobalamin, and it's a form of B12, but it's the man-made form. So anything that has been man-made is usually terrible for you, unfortunately. This is why I always say go whole food, natural whole foods. But cyanocobalamin is another form of a vitamin that not everybody can process. So I am one of those people. I learned it the hard way. There are 3 other natural forms of B12 that are fine for most people. Methylcobalamin, so it's a methylated form of B12, hydroxycobalamin, and adenosylcobalamin. You're not going to see that in food, but a lot of times you can find methylcobalamin in things. So I always say, like, Bang energy drink actually uses methylcobalamin instead of cyanocobalamin. And I
What about
think if you're
Alani? Do you know about
haven't,
Alani? Or
I'm not sure, but just look for if you see B12 on there and you see the word cobalamin, Cobalamin, just make sure it's not the C one. Just make sure it's M for methylated,
gotcha.
and choose that over something else. I don't want to name all of the energy drinks that have cyanocobalamin because I'll get in trouble.
So, what does your personal grocery cart look like? Like, what does a typical shopping trip look like?
Okay, so I love salads and I love soups. I'm like a huge soup and salad girl. And I usually try to throw as many vegetables in something as possible. Like I was telling somebody, I make meatloaf. I love a good meatloaf. I think it was just like my mom's recipe from my grandma. But somebody was asking me what I put in my meatloaf. And when they found out I like load it up with a ton of vegetables, they were kind of surprised by that. And I'm like, it's literally throw everything but the kitchen sink in there. And I make a lot of quiche too, because I try to make things that are easy and quick to heat up, throughout the week. So I can just make a big thing of it and then just heat it up through the week. But in addition, so I'm always buying, like, there's always celeries and carrots and cucumbers in my fridge, zucchini, squash, peppers, I like red and orange and yellow peppers. I don't like green peppers. Um, and then I like berries because I put berries in my Greek yogurt with a little bit of honey, maybe a little healthy granola. What else do I eat? I try to add lemon juice to just about everything. I just love a good squeeze of lemon. And then, and again, I'll just make a ton of soup, like a lemon Greek orzo spinach soup.
I'm
Or
getting hungry. Sounds
I
delicious.
know I get into it. So I found this one soup place in Boston, like probably 20 years ago, and they came out with a recipe book that I have it memorized now, and I just do soups from there all the time. It's great, vegetable soups, and and oh, lasagna soup. Have you ever had a lasagna soup?
I haven't.
That's like game changer. So
That
good.
sounds good. I want to eat. I wish I could eat that. So here's
So yeah,
I know that you're busy. I know you and Gary are about to fly out, and you took the time to meet with
yes,
us today. And thank you so much. I appreciate that. I just got one more
absolutely.
question.
Yep.
So if someone walks in the grocery store tomorrow and wants to make better decisions, what's the one mindset shift that they have to have?
Again, look for organic whole foods as much as possible. And I when people think that organic, it is more expensive for sure, but if you can find a place where you can buy it in bulk, then the cost really makes a lot more sense. So I haven't been to a Costco in a while, but I remember them having huge amounts of organic produce now. So buy it in bulk as much as possible. And if you don't use it all, freeze it. I also say pickle stuff, pickled things, and sauerkrauts and kimchi's and pickles are great. It's great for the gut biome. So if I have leftover things, I pickle them. Um, but I just choose again organic whole foods. It means that you are cooking more often, but as little as possible that can come out of a bag or a box is the way to go. And so in a normal grocery store, again, just think all the way around the
Love
store,
that.
because you've got your produce, you've got your dairy, you've got your eggs, your meat. Everything is on the outside of the grocery store, except for those, couple of aisles in the middle where they have organic frozen vegetables and fruits and meats. Those things are fine as long as it's organic. But the aisles where you get a lot of the boxed stuff, not like everybody's going to be making their pasta and their rice by hand though. So I fully
No, for sure.
recognize that. And in that case, go with organic or imported as much as possible.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Everybody, give Sage a round of applause. Raise your hands. Give her some love, some energy. Thank you
Aw,
so much,
thank
Sage, for
you.
being with us. We appreciate you here. We're going to get back into some more discussions right after this.